All right. Wow. Look at my face. Hi, guys. How are you? Brad here with Huntington County Storm Chasers coming to you about some weather. So you look at the down at the bottom there, you see we got a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for our area. This is in effect for the next 7 hours and 7 minutes. Clusters of thunderstorms will track southeastward throughout the afternoon across the watch area, damaging winds, large hail, and even a tornado or two are possible. We've talked about that since last night. So um, yeah, we definitely need to watch for this. Some of the thunderstorms have had hail aloft to 2 inches. That doesn't mean that it's hitting the ground at that level. We're seeing some reports of 1 inch hail and 70-mile-an-hour winds up in the Wisconsin and northeastern Illinois area. So we're going to talk about the radar a little bit and what this is going to mean for us, and what my current concerns are and our time frame. So I've been kind of watching this develop a little bit, and you'll notice we're not on the road yet. We'll get into it. So let's pull up the radar. Sorry, I had to decide how I was going to talk about this here. So I'm going to bring this in a little bit closer here. We're going to talk about what's going on up there around Kenosha. If you're on Lake Michigan today and you didn't receive the weather alerts, today is going to be probably one of those areas you're going to see some of those water spout possible areas. This is an area that had the previous tornado warning up there just northwest of Antioch, up there in Wisconsin. So that is over the lake now. So what I've been watching is the direction of travel. So if you kind of watch this here, looks like we may have a new tornado warning getting ready to pop in here. We're going to have to keep an eye on that for Chicagoland there. Very possible. Looks very possible. So you can kind of see how it's creeping. This is probably tag tornado possible. There it is. So you see it on your screen. Well, I can't highlight that. But you see it's tornado possible right there. Damage threat is considerable with 1 inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. That is just west of Chicago right now. And you can actually see that rotation starting to build right there. If they would go ahead and issue a tornado warning, because that's such a populated area, I think that'd be a pretty smart idea. Classic Cook signature inside of there. So just west or east of Carroll Stream there, if I had to say anything. But this has been a very interesting storm system that started to develop here. And I'll get on my soapbox about education a little bit here because I learned some today. So you see on the right side of the radar there, we have a bunch of different colors and whatnot. And I noticed there was white. Now it's not as high as it was, but oh man, never mind. So 69,000 feet, and you see it says tops. You can't see it completely there. I'm sorry. I don't know why it does that. 69,000 feet is the absolute maximum a cloud can grow in our atmosphere. So if you're in that area, I'm absolutely sure that you're getting actually like smacked right now. And hey, we just said that we should probably have a tornado warning there. And I don't know if you see it, but there's a tornado warning right there. It says radar indicated. So we call it first. Not bragging or anything. But and that was just a quick glance at the radar even. So here's my thought process on this whole thing. The lineage of this storm has been kind of build up and kind of fall down and then build back up. So it's holding together. As it goes across Lake Michigan, it's going to kind of hold together, right? But is it going to hold together long enough to stay into Huntington? So one thing I want to mention is look at the direction of that tornado warning, right? So that is heading straight southeast, right? If it stays on that trajectory, so that would put it right down 65, you know, give or take a little east of that, right? So that would put something like this, right? Not guaranteed because it's still got a little bit more of that eastward push back behind it. Now, Brad, what do you mean that eastward push back behind it? We'll get there here in just a second. I need to open another radar for that. But that's kind of what it looks like. And you can see that there's a lot of buildup. There's a lot of instability, a lot of moisture up in the atmosphere currently. So 1 hour accumulations, we can see are absolutely, we need to pause that, absolutely hefty up there. So if we're able to hold on to this moisture, 1.5 inch all throughout those larger cells there, and we can kind of see up here around Kenosha, 1.75 inches. So they're starting to swim up there. And that happened over a brief period of time. So let's see, has it opened yet? It has. All right, so this radar, this is my radar. That's what it's called. It's not mine. But so this is what's going on. So we have a cold front system back here with low pressure up here just south of Duluth, up here in Minnesota. That has actually shifted away from where it is right now. So it is actually here. Okay. That is actually where it's at right now. So even though it doesn't look like that on the screen, my radar doesn't update the frontal boundaries as well as they should. But that's what's giving this is that push, the 70-mile-per-hour winds, just everything mixing together is based off of this cold front, okay? So keep that in mind. So as that starts to push south and east, it's also going to have to compete with high pressure. So we have high pressure over here in Ohio. We have high pressure down here in Tennessee. So these are things that I've missed in the past that I've grown to watch. It's going to have to bounce off that and push more easterly. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that and see exactly where some of this is going to line up. Being that it's slowed down instead of sped up, which is kind of an offshoot for me. But, you know, we go into the severe thunderstorm warning here. It's moving southeast at 20 miles per hour. Earlier, it was 40. So we could be looking at a direction pattern shift currently. So I'm currently waiting for that to see exactly what that's going to look like. So we can make a better timing prediction than what we had before. We were saying 2 o'clock. That's obviously out the window at this point. So keep that in mind. So before, I'll draw a little thing on here. We had the cold front coming through, sweeping with a linear line across your radar that you see like that blue line, which is no longer happening, which is kind of interesting that this is how it's developing. So I had it developing off of a cold front up here off the north, and that was going to push straight south. Instead, we're going to get a push from the west, which means we're getting a bigger push up here from North Dakota. So there's a definitely a big cold bag behind it. It's not that big of a cold difference, but turn on some temperatures here. It's not that big of a cold difference. The upper atmosphere difference is probably bigger. So that's where we're seeing this. So any questions so far? Once I get a better time frame, I will make that worth your while and post that. There's a lot of data coming in currently that I'm watching. So we're going to continue to monitor that. It does look like that calmed down quite a bit. But that's kind of been how the pattern's gone. You're looking in this area right here. So if it was me, I would assume that there's a pretty sweet looking wall cloud somewhere in there. That was right there, actually. So, radar indicated. So we're just going to have to keep a close eye. just wanted to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at. We did say 1 to 2 o'clock time frame. Things changed a little bit. So there's a mesoscale discussion out. A developing bow is currently moving across northeast Wisconsin. I wouldn't necessarily call it that at this point. But the energy is definitely there. The shear is definitely there. So we're going to have to definitely watch where this comes through and watch what happens as time goes on. So that's about all I have, unless you guys have any questions. You know, keeping it real here with Huntington County Storm Chasers. We will try to keep you in the loop the best we can. The morning stuff did miss us and went to the east. It's actually still out there somewhere. You can actually see it out here in Ohio. Kind of saw that happening a little early on with development. What I'm kind of worried about with this is if it gets an early eastward push, that we could kind of see it stay north of that line. A lot of you kind of wish it would probably happen. We'll have to kind of watch and see what happens. But not very confident on that estimate yet. So, you know, we saw the frontal boundaries and things like that. So we'll just have to keep an eye and see where things are going to move. So things are just starting to move into Northwest Indiana here very soon. We'll keep an eye on it and keep you abreast with any changes. And if anything's needed, we'll let you know. My biggest concern is the winds so far. What we can see here, the biggest threat here is 70-mile-per-hour winds. And they actually upgraded it to 1 3/4 hail, which is a little bigger than, well, almost a little smaller than 2 of your fingers as far as round goes. So it's getting pretty big, but it's not huge. So probably about what, nickel size? I'd have to measure one. But I would say the wind is probably the biggest factor there. Excuse me. We have seen some rotation. Sorry, I'm tired, dude. If it stays, I'm going to say yes at this point, Dominic. So right now, let's look. Columbia City's right here. If it stays north of Huntington, Columbia City's still in the target area. So I would say yes. It's a hard call. It's just directional. You know, it could take a southward push from where it's at right now, which would be absolutely disgusting. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to continue a southeastward push. But how crazy is it going to get? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm really looking at. And the direction and speed is what's really getting me on that. So, you know, these are a lot of things I've been looking at. I've been skipping all over the radars, all over the place here, and trying to figure out exactly what it's doing. But it, needless to say, it's been a little bit of a challenge with this setup. And I mean, you guys can see there's a lot of hail in there, very large hail. So what is that? Summitville, Bridgeview, Oaklawn. This whole area right here is probably inundated in hail. I would probably say that if we were looking at that, their streets are white. We'd probably look at this a little differently here. Oh yeah. So this whole area right there, I would be concerned with. So excuse me, my allergies are killing me. So yeah, the rotation's not strong enough really for anything to worry about. The cloud tops is just really what's got me today. 60, 62. That's just crazy though. So any other questions? Sorry, I'm over here nerding out. I should be looking at. Talk to ratio for a minute. Talking to a man after his own heart. So, true definition of a derecho is a damage path greater than a certain dollar amount over $250 over a certain width. I don't think, being this is going over the lake, that it would be worth having that discussion. Let me look. Fast-moving, widespread, destructive windstorm associated with the line of thunderstorms. The damage path must be at least 240 miles long. Winds must reach at least 58 miles per hour across most of that path. So, no. I'm going to rule that out. Number one, it's going across the lake. So let's say that they start a calculation in West Chicago, right there. I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. You got me thinking. What is 240 miles? I think being it's moving 20 miles an hour, I think that's going to be a reach. That's just me. I don't think we're going to get that out of this. And then you look farther north, we have another lake up here that it's going to have to reach. Usually when you see derecho, it's going to be farther out here, kind of associated in a line like this, going this way, if that makes sense. How bad is it going to get for Huntington? Chelsea asks. This is probably the worst question I can say. It's going to be hit or miss. I'm waiting to see if we're going to have a direction change. Currently, the storms are moving 20 miles per hour down from 40. So I'm waiting to see. We got observed 2-inch hail now up there. Goodness gracious. All right. So waiting to see if that's going to change. Usually, if a storm this big slows down, sometimes we get a direction shift. Is that going to be pointing south more, or is it going to be pointing east more? Right now, I'm thinking it's going to be pointing east more. If it does that, it's going to probably clip us, but we'll miss most of the severe stuff. If it shifts more south, we'll be in it to win it. So that's kind of I'm waiting. But being it's moving so slow, that waiting game could take some time. So, we've been on here for 20 minutes, and that is a waiting game to be desired yet. So sometimes you guys will notice I switch between a couple of different radar apps. And if the gentleman's on here, this picture as my background here, I'm going to go out on a soapbox here. It's one of my favorites. Let's get rid of this banner too, because I got something else I want to tell you guys about. Oh, well, you can't see the rest of it. So that house and that barn is at 113 and 124. That's where I took this picture. One of my favorite pictures. I don't know why it screams peaceful to me. I don't know why I'm pointing at it there. You guys can't see what's there. There's a TV right there, I promise. Yeah, see right there. There's a TV right there. So that's what I use when I'm looking at radar. I'm not blind, but it helps out a lot. But yeah, one of my favorite pictures from storm chasing. It's not one of my best, but it's one of my favorite backgrounds. So, anywho, all right. So, taking a look at this, I'm just going to say this for everybody that tuned back in real quick, and then I'm going to throw something else back up on the screen. So, we have a frontal boundary. Where's my pointer? Frontal boundary back here through Illinois and Iowa, and then up here through Minnesota and whatnot, going back into Nebraska, and then up here through northern Wisconsin, Michigan into Canada, right? So I assumed that was going to push straight south. It did not. So we're getting a push out of the southwest or northwest. Is that a new tornado warning? It is. Still radar indicated. I want to go back and take another look at that. So we'll get into that in a second. Sorry. I just went squirrel. So what I'm waiting on is to see what that low pressure right there is going to do. And when you say low pressure, Brad, what are you talking about? We got low pressure all the way up here, northern Minnesota, that's kind of controlling our weather today. And that's kind of what's throwing us off. Yeah, thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate it. So that's what we're watching for right now. Man, my blue dot has me down in Muncie. I am not in Muncie, guys. I am in Huntington, Indiana. So that low pressure is what's causing the havoc today. So things didn't really come out as planned. So I think it's happening, guys. We went from a direction of southeast to south, right? So we see that. So that puts, boom, just west. If Don Schubridge is on here, he's screaming, Attica! So way back in the day, last year, we got nailed by a EF0 right out in that area. So whenever we see a storm go through Attica, we just yell Attica, but it's fun. So that's pushing more south. So that would put us in line for what's up in this area, if that makes sense. But we could get that another eastern gust. So biggest threat in our area is wind so far. No. Well, yes, I've been on here for a minute running my mouth. I'm pretty good at that. But I probably ran over it a couple times. Biggest threat is wind. And it looks like the whole storm system's taking a pretty good southern shift right now. Waiting to see what that's going to do for the next severe thunderstorm warning. Should be getting another issue to the south of this current cluster, which we're going to go in and explore here in a second. Since we have new tornado warning that I want to see over there. Can we see it? That's probably too damn. Is that real life? Surely not. All right, so we got our new severe thunderstorm warning. That's what we were waiting on. 2-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour radar indicated. Wind gusts is what we're looking at. Southeast at 30 miles per hour, so we're picking up speed again. But we're probably going to see more of a southerly trajectory. Let's double check here. A little bit. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. So right now, I'm not saying we're going to miss the severe part. There's a lot to be desired with data. The weather models were all completely wrong, which is very frustrating, might I add. But All threats are still on the table, especially as it crosses Lake Michigan. What you see up there in Kenosha right now is currently what I'm watching for us, unless something builds out in front of it. As we hit the pause button, you can see a little bit of a rogue line build up right there. So we're going to kind of continue to monitor that, as well as it kind of gets that outflow off of Lake Michigan and how that's going to develop, because that's going to get that more easterly push than what you would see from the main storm system. Sorry, my hair's a mess. Good grief, Brad Jeffers, you're on camera. So one other thing that we'll mention today, I'm going to get off here and save a little bit of my voice for later. As you can see, we got a flash flood warning, 1.5 to 1 inch per hour rain. Some areas have already had 2 inches of rain. So that is not outstanding. That's crazy. So we will continue to monitor these situations as they evolve, especially for everybody out at the 4-H fair today. So if you know anybody going out to the 4-H this afternoon, if you see us out in live, make sure you share the live so we get it out to everybody that we can. I'll try to drive by the 4-H fair with my lights on if I have to, and inform everybody we can that, hey, weather's coming if we get to that point. So another point is lightning is not as dense as it once was. So that is interesting as well. Cloud tops are not as impressive as they once were. So it's more supercellular, as you can see in nature. So could we be in a recovery stage? And what I mean by supercellular, so these would probably, if you could get rid of the clouds around it, look like motherships, right? They would be absolutely gorgeous structures up in the sky. So from the backside, I would say if you were in Rockford, Illinois right now, looking to your southeast, that would be beautiful. You'd see 2 towering clouds, just like boom, and they would have the big anvils on top. I'm nerding out. Sorry, I digress. I'd like to see it, So hopefully we get that opportunity, and we'll continue to monitor. Anybody have any other questions? If not, I'm going to hop off here. Just let me know. I'm going to continue to monitor for the shift, and then we'll move forward from there. Right now, it looks like everything's kind of shifting south a little bit. If it continues that trajectory, it may miss us entirely, other than some rain. If we continue to get an eastern push out of it, we are still in the books for some severe weather. So we're watching 2 fronts that are kind of working against each other right now. And that's kind of what's causing this weather. Things are kind of sandwiched like this, kind of getting pushed down. So we'll continue to monitor. Yeah. Oh, before everybody goes, if you haven't yet, text EMA alerts to 226-787. That'll get you to the EMA alerts from Huntington County Emergency Management. I should really screenshot this and send it to myself so that you guys can see it. But it looks a little something like that, where you get alerts. So, and they're timely. But I got to run, guys. I just got a call from my doctor. I will talk to you later.